Hey there, I once again asked you guys to send me some hot takes and unpopular opinions, and today I will be reacting to the best ones. FTE says, Arya should have a spin-off show. Man, that is actually nightmare fuel to me. If we are talking about Game of Thrones becoming a cinematic universe or a televisual universe, whatever you might call it, an Arya Stark show is just the last thing that I would want to see. I genuinely despised the character that Arya Stark became in the original show. So I really just don't care about her nonsensical journey to west of Westeros. You know, what's west of Westeros? Essos, probably. You know, that is the very funny thing, like, her endgame is just so much not what George intended. You can just tell. Her character in the show is so much unlike the characters that George R. R. Martin writes about in his world that it's almost laughable, it's unrecognizable. My biggest problem with Arya Stark's character, or the character that she turned out to be, was that they've always portrayed her horrible acts and everything she's done and all the killings in a glorious way. They glorified it. They wanted you to cheer for that, you know, woohoo. Like, I'm sure every single fray that was said there was guilty, I guess. It just doesn't make sense to me. And, you know, I just don't think that George R. R. Martin's Arya Stark would ever turn into something like that. But then again, that is also due to the magic that is just absent in Game of Thrones, you know? We never really got an explanation as to how the faceless men work. How does it work with their masks, for example? Stuff like that. So I just couldn't care less about a Arya Stark show, and I hope that is just the end of it. And yeah, let's just move on. Alessandro says, I would absolutely love to see animated shows instead of live action. I gotta be honest, I was never really a big fan of animated stuff. I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, but that's about the extent of it, really. I guess what an animated show will always have is unlimited resources, you know? You can really go all out, you don't have to worry about budget, and the focus would definitely be on the writing and the character development, so yeah, I guess it could be something that works, and I have seen that a lot of people really want something like that. We shall see. I definitely prefer live action, and I hope that Duncan Egg is gonna be a fantastic show. And we shall see where House of the Dragon goes, whether it becomes an anthology series or if we get different segments from the Targaryen history in other shows. We shall see. But I'm definitely not against it. Why not? Madeline says, the only reason why R plus L equals J is in the show is because they conflated Jon and Aegon from the books. David and Dan guessed Ashara Dayne right the first time, but presented us with the wrong answer anyways because they didn't care. The show's deleterious quality was not for lack of material to adapt, but because they stopped adapting it deliberately. N plus A equals J. The absolute mental fucking gymnastics on that one. I will try to be nice. I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be rude today. I really don't feel like being rude today. But it's fucking 2023. It's 2023, man. It's time to let this theory go. It's a nice read. I like it. I like Ashara Dayne. It's a fascinating character. There's definitely something there. Not once did Eddard think about her, but you know, just going by your arguments there. Let's have a conversation. You said the only reason why R plus L equals J is in the show is because they conflated Jon and Aegon, which just is not the case. They don't share a single thing apart from the name. There's no similarity there. There's no Jon Con. There's no conquest. We did not ever get a conquest by Jon Snow. Then again, D&D guessed Ashara Dayne right the first time, but presented us with the wrong answer anyways because they didn't care. Why would they do that? But if that really was how they got the job, then they definitely would have included some hints about Ashara very early on. There's no way. I'm 100% with you. It's not like they ran out of source material. That's something I hear all the time. that is just not true. They deliberately just stopped adapting stuff. But in this case, I just don't see it. And I think it's time to let it go, man. It is time. It's time. Please just let it go. Daniela says, George R. R. Martin will change his mind about what he told David and Dan, specifically King Bran and Stannis' decision to burn Shireen. He's written himself into a corner by boxing himself into this must happen. It's not his style, and he changes his mind all the time regarding the way he writes. You know, it is all about context. You're definitely right. He is a gardener and he comes up with his stuff along the way, meaning he doesn't really have an outline. He doesn't really believe in outlines in general. I think what it all comes down to is context. How is Bran gonna be king? How will Stannis burn Shireen? Because she's still at the wall. He's at the Crofters' village. Like that is a long ride. It's not like they can teleport in the books the way they did on Game of Thrones. And with that in mind, it can only be a different thing. You know, with Game of Thrones, once again, I'm going to talk about the magic, but it really is important. With Game of Thrones, cutting out the magic and a lot of the magical aspects of George R. R. Martin's world, it just can't go into the same direction. You know, I could see both of these things happening in the books, but the context is going to be different. I mean, Stannis is not going to burn Shireen for some bad weather, you know? Maybe if it's an attempt to save the world, that could be something where I can actually see him burning his daughter. You know, sometimes the things on Game of Thrones felt so misplaced and so out of nowhere. I think we all remember our reaction to when who has a better story than Bran the Broken, and you're just sitting there like everyone that's sitting there. And stuff like that happened here and there. I mean, Daenerys Targaryen's whole fucking turn into insanity over the course of a few episodes is just as crazy to me. I don't see it happening in the books that way either, but I can see her definitely becoming more ruthless and embracing fire and blood. Yeah, but again, all in all, context matters. I could see both, or I could see neither. We shall see. Deverlin says, Game of Thrones and The Witcher aged up characters. Across seasons, the gap between the character's age and the actress's age widened. I think it would have been easier and or more compelling to understand Dany's supposed mental decline in the show if she was still a child through all of the triumphs and horror. Again, it was just so poorly executed that I don't think it would have made much of a difference in the show. In the books, there is obviously prophecy fucking with her mind, you know, Quaithe visiting her and the prophecy of the fake dragon and, you know, all these things. And we have to remember that she is a child in the books. And while I don't see her becoming fully Mad Queen, you know, fully Ares, I could definitely see her becoming more violent. And something that might really fuck up her mind is her burning King's Landing down by accident. Let's say we open up A Dream of Spring with the battle between young Griff and her at King's Landing, and by accident she unleashes the wildfire beneath the city. Like, how could that not make you go a little bonkers? But her willingly arriving in Westeros and just burning it all down, I don't see that happening. And I don't see her going mad either. Moving on. BTJ says, did Janos Slynt really have friends at court? Powerful friends. Lord Janos, thank you so much for taking this interview today. I guess there's only one question that I have really. So yeah, let's just go ahead. You said that quote unquote, you have friends at court, powerful friends. So I guess I just wanted to know, are these powerful friends in the room with us right now? Are they here?
I will not have it!
Park Tower says, the dance should have been between Rhaenyra and Daemon to resemble the Anarchy more. Well, I don't know about Anarchy, but, you know, this is just a generational thing, you know. It started with the end of Jaehaerys' reign, when all of his children were dying and the matter of succession came up, and then at the Great Council, Viserys winning over Rhaenys, Laena, and Laenor. You know, it's just a generational thing, and I just feel like that way the storytelling can achieve way more. You have way more people involved, and this really was the peak of the Targaryen dynasty. And by splitting it into different branches of the family and also involving the other houses like House Hightower in this conflict was a very, very wise and great decision and George's world building. You also just have to imagine that George probably sat there and, you know, Rhaenyra and Daemon, those were probably characters that he knew before he knew others that would come along, like the Laenors, and to then branch this whole thing out just shows how incredibly talented George is. And I really, really like this time period. I think it's great the way it is. It also, once again, focuses and really emphasizes on the horrors of war. And that is obviously something that is very important in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire. Yeah, I like the story, and I don't think that will make it better. Braggart says, Stannis will win. Yes, he definitely will.
Are you drunk?
Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to subscribe. Take care and see us later.